Now I want to look at Luke. Okay, so Luke is interesting because Luke was actually written at the same time as Acts. It was written by the same person, by Luke, the medical doctor who traveled with Paul, who's written about in the book of Acts. And he wrote these two things. So it's the story of Jesus and the story of the church. That was what Luke was focused on. And he's actually the only known Gentile author in the entire Bible, which is really, really cool because he wrote this huge story of the Bible that we're going to talk about. The date of when Luke Acts was written, somewhere probably in between 65 to 75 AD. It wouldn't have been that much later than Mark, but it definitely uses Mark's gospel to help him fill out the story. And with the story, there's lots of this that Luke gets from his own firsthand account because he lived through the stories of Acts, as we're going to talk about. There's also this idea, which I find to be just really interesting. And some of the stories that we see in the beginning of Luke have led scholars to wonder if Luke was actually getting his birth narrative of Jesus from Mary, Jesus' own mother, which I just think is really cool. That would be really fun. So who are the recipients? It's Greek followers of Jesus, Gentiles, non-Jewish, non-Hebrew speakers. That is who he's writing this to. So chapters 1 and 2 of Luke introduce the story. They anticipate the major themes of Old Testament promises, the Davidic kingly role of Jesus. He was the son of David. The restoration of Israel, the inclusion of the Gentiles, God's concern for the poor, the role of the Holy Spirit, the anticipated opposition, and the joy caused by good news about Jesus. And the rest of the gospel is in 3 parts after these first 2 chapters, set off by geography. So in 414 to 950, Jesus teaches and heals in Galilee. In 951 to 1945, Jesus sets out on the road towards Jerusalem. And in 1945 to 2453, he is in Jerusalem. That's how Luke staggers his storytelling in the book of Luke. And his primary concern is to talk about the salvation of all people, of Israel and Gentiles who have been included in this salvation of Israel. And it's interesting for Luke, he references the Psalms and the book of Isaiah often. Those are 2 of his most common reference points in this story. And Luke introduces the Holy Spirit in a powerful way. The Holy Spirit plays a massive role in the church, as we see in Acts, in which we know. But he also plays a powerful role in Jesus' own ministry. Luke tells us in almost everything that Jesus did, he has this phrase, by the Spirit. He went and healed by the Spirit. He knew where to go by the Spirit. He heard what was going on by the Spirit. He was led to Jerusalem by the Spirit. So on and so forth. It's always by the Spirit. And he begins his ministry by quoting Isaiah 61 that says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me." And then he continues on. So Luke goes through this geographical journey with lots of stops on the way through his gospel. And it's a beautiful discourse. It talks about the lowly and how Jesus came to love and to serve the poor, the marginalized, the afflicted, the oppressed, the outsiders. It's a beautiful story. The next video is going to talk about another gospel. So if you have time, keep going. If you need to stop for right now, end it here and come back later on to read the next gospel.